I love a good thunderstorm. Today I want to do something a little bit different and incorporate some new skills that I've never tried before using this stick. I actually started this video yesterday. I was rushing, it was right before dinner time, but I managed to record the introduction and then the very first step. However, the audio didn't work. It didn't take for some reason, probably because I was rushing and I didn't check. And I can't really use that footage except for B-roll to kind of show you how I sawed off the various little nubby, splintery pieces that probably would have been twigs growing out of this branch or little sapling. I'm not sure what we've decided it is or it was, but they were very kind of jagged. If you look here, that's kind of what it was like all over. I know that it would catch my skin, it wouldn't be soft, and my goal is to get this whole part of the staff very soft, very smooth, splinter-free. And then when I come to the top here, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do to keep the integrity and beauty of this little root system. I just want to have a real witchy experience with this piece of wood here and let it tell me what it needs at any given time. So I do have some kind of loose plans. I invested in a wood burner for the first time. I've always wanted one of these. I think they're super cool. So I'm hoping that I can go ahead and kind of use that on here and mark up some really beautiful symbols. And I also have this polishing kit, and I'm hoping that it really is gonna bring out just the beautiful wood grain and shine and luster. I feel like this little dude is kind of just starving right now. It feels very dry. It feels like it's been outside in the elements a long time. It's really weathered, and I'm not sure what additional adornments I wanna put on, but I'm thinking maybe wrapping some twine around it, maybe some leather cording. Again, I just wanna feel my way through it and kind of let this stick or this staff as it develops tell me where everything should go and what exactly I should do. I'm gonna start the sanding process now. I have not sanded anything indoors in years and years and years at this point. I might need to put a mask on. I don't know how intense it's gonna get, but hopefully the sanding process won't be too laborious because you kind of work up a sweat. It's a really hard job. So I'm gonna get to work. I also don't have a very thick grit sandpaper. The ones that I have are kind of both very fine and delicate for finishing work. So hopefully that doesn't make the job too intense, but we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna start sanding and then I'll check back in with you in a little bit. This looks pretty awesome. I'm getting really excited. The gray is starting to go away and it's starting to reveal a really beautiful wood pattern. So one thing leads to another. I've sanded a lot of this. It's actually really smooth, and I was hoping to keep it all natural. I wanted to use all natural beeswax polish, all natural adornments, the wood burning, of course. It's a very natural process. And unfortunately, I just don't think that I can sand these cracks down without having the risk of like little splinters or further cracking. So I'm gonna have to do wood filler. When I went to the local hardware store a few minutes ago, I was asking if I could find wood filler that wasn't gonna be too distracting and that kind of would blend in with the wood, and they basically said no. So their suggestion was use the wood filler and then stain it. And I don't know, I didn't want to do all of that, but here we are, and that's what I'm doing. I said this project was gonna take me wherever it needed to take me, and I was just gonna trust the process and allow for everything to unfold naturally. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna be putting things on this wood that aren't completely natural, but I think it's gonna honor the wood and preserve the wood. And I really just want this whole staff to be well loved and nourished. So I don't know how to open this. I guess it's gonna require scissors. I haven't really used wood glue before, so I'm just gonna kind of use my hands. I prefer usually to use my hands with this type of application, and I'm gonna go and fill in all of these cracks and see what that looks like. Okay. I'm missing something? Or is this just really stiff? Yeah, it's really stiff. Oh man, is it supposed to be like this? Maybe I should read the instructions? I hate reading the instructions. Squeeze tube and apply to area with putty knife. Okay, I'm missing something. Clearly there's nothing I need to do other than squeeze, but like, Jeez Louise. I can't do this squeeze. I don't want to ruin my pruning shears, but let's get big with this. Clean these off. That's clean in my book. Does this make it easier? Oh yeah. Okay. But it doesn't come out nicely, but that's okay. I'm just gonna put some on the table and pick it up. And as you can see, it's filling in the gaps. Yeah, this is gonna work. I mean, I hope it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. I'm just gonna spend a little bit of time rubbing all of this in. I might wanna mix it with some of this dust down here from when I was actually sanding the wood, kind of putting the wood that I sanded off back into the staff. I like that on an energetic level, and also it might help color this wood putty to more represent accurately the color of this natural wood. In the meantime, I'm sure you don't want to watch me fill in the cracks on this entire staff, so you get the idea. We're just kind of putting it on, smashing it in, rubbing around, and then I guess we'll have to let it dry. I'm assuming overnight. I don't know how quickly this dries. So I'm just gonna work on that, and I will be back. I ended up letting the wood filler dry overnight. I was trying to read the back here, although I had covered it all with the wood filler by accident before I read the drying period. And I came out this morning like 6 a.m. and I just went to town. I used this is the thickest grit sandpaper that I have, and I made a huge mess out here. I actually really don't like working indoors with a project like this, but if I go outside, I will be eaten alive by mosquitoes, and I don't wear bug spray. I don't. So I try to avoid the outdoors during this time of year because it's just a nightmare. So while this was drying last night, I did start to play around with this wood burning tool, and it's pretty challenging. I assumed there was going to be a huge learning curve and that I wasn't going to be very good, and I'm not. I've played around with this scrap piece of wood here, and the biggest issue that I'm finding is that I can't switch out the tip. It came with this tip in here, and I guess I'm not strong enough to unscrew it. I want to use a tip more like this for fine detail, but I just don't think that's happening. And I am kind of too weak to replace the tip myself, and I'm too impatient to wait for my husband to do it. And I think what we're gonna do is just some straight lines and things that are very angular. That's all I can manage. I am pretty pleased with it so far though, and it is really soft. I can do this now, and I'm not scared. Maybe I should be, but I think I've done a good enough job sanding. I've actually hurt my left wrist and arm, even though I'm using my right hand to do all the sanding. So I don't know how that happened, but I have to be a little bit mindful because this whole arm here just feels a little bit abused and overworked, and I don't want to push it. I just don't really recover from injuries as quickly as I used to when I was younger. So we're just gonna kind of do a little bit of fine-tune sanding. Then I'm gonna wipe this down. I'll use this dirty, gross sponge here. And then I'm going to stain it, and then I'm going to wood burn it, and then I'm going to polish it, and then I'm going to adorn it. So maybe I will get all of that done today. Fingers crossed that is what happens, but we'll see. I kept the wood burning design pretty simple, and I think that I like it. I don't know how much you can pick it up on camera, but I think that's all I'm gonna do, because I'm gonna put other things on the stick as well. Now I'm going to stain it. I have never stained anything before, or if I have, it was so long ago I just can't recall whatsoever. I don't know how noxious these fumes are gonna be. I don't really know the process, so it's gonna get a little bit noisy. I'm also gonna wear protective rubber gloves if I can find a pair, because I don't want this chemically stuff on my hands, and I assume it would stain my hands since it's called stain. So I'm gonna look for some gloves. Every time, guys, every time. I hope it doesn't smell too gross. Ooh, it does stink. Okay, here goes nothing. Do you think this is gonna dry lighter? Because this is pretty dark. It's making the wood filler really obvious. And the person at the store assured me that this particular wood filler would accept the stain readily and blend in, but it's not. I'm wondering if this part was a mistake. It's kind of covering up the wood burning feature and the pretty wood grain. Ugh, I don't know if I like this at all. Guys, it's poisonous in here now. This stuff smells horrible. I didn't have the windows open because it's hot and muggy out, and I didn't want to combat our air conditioner, but I don't think I can stay in here with how bad this smells. I am done staining everything. I'm gonna let it dry a little bit. I don't like it as much now, so that's a shame. I'm gonna try to sand it a little bit again and see what happens, maybe even go back into the wood burning. I don't wanna touch it because I feel like I'm gonna get the stain on my hands. So I'm just gonna open the windows and then get the hell out of here. Ew, my hair touched the stain. Oh. I think I regret staining this. The stain smelled awful. It actually made my entire home office reek. I'm trying to air it out and doing the best I can. And the stick or the staff smells horrible and toxic and fake and disgusting and man-made, and that really wasn't the angle I was going for. I'm assuming it will dissipate with time, but it's just a little off-putting. I tend to err on the side of natural versus synthetic, and this just kind of gave it a very synthetic feeling. It also darkened it a lot, and I think I really liked the light wood. I ended up going outside because I did not feel like sanding in my office for a third time. It's really, really messy. And I sanded some of the stain off. It looks pretty cool now. You can see the wood burning here. And honestly, I guess it's not very eye-catching altogether, but having the stain darken the area kind of diminished its appearance even more. I'm living with it. It's fine. I can live with it. I'm sure I'll get used to it, and with time I'll forget what it looked like initially and how much I liked it initially, and I'll start to grow to like this version of it as well. But now I'm gonna get to the process that I'm really excited for, which is the polishing. And I showed you that kit briefly before. I have so much junk anymore. We live in such a small house, and we're all artists doing our artsy things all the time, and our house is just bursting. We don't have enough storage. My husband wants me to reduce my hobbies. I don't think I can. I mean, he doesn't want me to, but he does call me his agent of chaos, kind of fondly, and it is true, because I definitely start so many projects at once and then just create mess wherever I go. But, you know, segue, I actually, while my stuff was outside drying in the sun and I was trying to air it out, I went ahead and harvested some elderberries, because my next project, I am gonna teach myself how to dye fabric, and I wanna use things that I grow in my yard. So I'm really excited for that. It is a bit of an investment, because I have to buy utensils and pots and things like that that are never gonna mix with our food supply. Anyway, that's what I was doing. So if you notice that I have giant red lumps all over my hands and my face, it's because I was outside, and the mosquitoes right now are absolutely relentless, and I got eaten alive. The first part of the process is using this steel wool and rubbing the polish into the wood. And then I think you're supposed to leave it for about 30 minutes, and then you buff it out. And I think it's gonna get all glossy and shiny. I really hope it does. That's what I want. But I want it to be like a very natural looking sheen, not a synthetic, stinky, smelly one. And these polishes are beeswax based. So, pretty natural stuff. Okay, I was a patient person, a good little girl, and I waited a full 30 minutes. So I'm gonna get down to polishing this, and we'll see what happens. Well, I don't know. Oh, my arms are not my friends today. They are my sad enemies, and I have defeated them. Yeah, you know what? I think it is kind of picking up a sheen. Is that just glinting in the sunlight? Can you see that? It's not like pow in your face, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be. I think it's doing its thing. Now, if I just have the stamina to buff this whole stick, we'll see. So I'm just gonna continue along and maybe check in with you in a little bit and see what other adornments I put on it, and then I think I just want to jump into a reveal. Well, there you have it. It is my stick journey, and I actually really like how it turned out. It does still smell a bit gross, but it is dissipating. I think if I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't put the stain on. However, I do feel like the stain adds an extra layer of beauty, and I think sanding a decent amount of it off was very crucial for me to kind of appreciate its benefits. Overall, I would say I'm incredibly pleased. I've never made a staff like this before. I think the one thing it might be missing is a little bit of noise. You kind of hear a little bit. Let me put it next to my mic. Hear that? That little bit of jingle jangle? I think it would be neat if there was some kind of tiny little bell strand on here that actually made noise when I was moving it and using it. So maybe I could look into purchasing that and figuring out where I can hang little bells from up here. I'm sure they would just be hidden in all of this beautiful chaos that's already going on. And then it would add an audio element as well. I think I'm kind of into that idea. I'll probably research it a little bit and buy some bells and add that onto this staff as well. And then it will be complete. Here we are at the end of another project, and if you've enjoyed this video, if you could like and subscribe, it really means the absolute world to me. I would love to be able to focus on this channel and have it less of a hobby, more of a career, and your support is absolutely crucial for that. And I wanted to let you know that I just officially kicked off my Patreon site. Last November when I started YouTube, I was learning about Patreon as well, and I told myself by summer 2023 I was gonna start a Patreon site, and I did. It has one video on it so far, but it's gonna have a second video soon, and it's gonna be where my daughters and I go camping and to a cabin in the woods in Atzion in the Pine Barrens, and that's where I found this stick. So anyone who's interested in checking that out, I would really appreciate it. And until next time, I will see you again soon. Bye!